Yo, dudes, welcome back for a Forces of Freedom video. First order of business is cheers to each and every one of you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for all the new subscriptions that have come in. Got to thank the boys over at Bravo Company for putting my Scout video up in the news feed on the game. So I hope that's helped out a few people. And what we're going to cover today is going to be basically just going into a brief explanation of what this game is about for some of the new players that are going to be coming in. The game's going to come out of early access in 2018, so more people are going to be able to get this game and download it. So a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions. It's going to be a little unfamiliar to them. For the people that have been around for a while, there's probably not much in this video for you, but basically to understand what we've got going on here, we have to just run into what I think are four of the key points in this game that make it quite different from others. All right, and those key points are going to be tactical gameplay, class-based system, cap area management, run and gun. All right, so let's just talk briefly about each of these. Tactical gameplay. The controls in the game are set up in such a way that it forces you to play the game tactically, and that is going to basically make players slow down, think about their movements a little bit. Very different that way. Three different classes currently in the game. We've got the sniper class, we've got a rifleman, and we've got a scout. All three serve a very distinct purpose on the map. So you really have to learn your classes, and you've got to try and play them to the strengths of the class and don't force it to do something that it's not really meant to do. Cap area management is huge in this game. I know a lot of people get all caught up in certain games and they're like, oh, capping's for pussies and this, that, the other thing. Don't fall for that crap. The matches are very fast, all right? 4-minute matches with the possibility to send it into overtime. If you've hit the 4-minute mark at 3 minutes and 59 seconds, if somebody doesn't get onto that cap, the game's going to end in a draw. It's very important, especially for the rifleman, to pay attention to the timer in the game. When it gets down to yellow, it's time to start thinking about how are you going to move onto the cap position to be able to send the game into overtime. When it's into red, it's time to panic. You have to make sure you maintain cap management. Huge. The team that does will generally win the match. The lack of run and gun the developers have done is remove the ability to fire while you're running across the map. It sounds strange and it feels strange at first. You're going to come to see that it plays a huge part in the game, and it really makes the experience quite unique from other shooters out there. So that's why we call this one a tactical mobile shooter. All right, so now that we've covered that stuff, let's jump over and we're going to take a look at the control schemes that are presently in the game and see, we'll kind of explain each one to you and you can kind of figure out what's more comfortable for you. All right, guys, so what we're going to do now is we're going to just go into the screens where the menus and the controls are, and we'll kind of run through the default setup, and then we'll discuss the other two setups that you can use in the game. So to get into the settings, you go into your cogwheel up there and then type in settings. That's my control method. The first one that you're going to see is the right-handed. There is a left-handed version of that also. So you've got two that are the same, just mirrored. All right, so we'll go over this one because it's got all the buttons that are present in the other control methods. First up, okay, is going to be the looking area over here on the right-hand side. You're going to use this area to turn your soldier in the direction that you want to face. You can also turn him to run in that particular direction if you're just pushing forward on a movement stick. Right down below that, we have the stance button. All right, the stance button works with a series of single and double taps. All right, this is nice. This is one of the first of a few buttons that have multiple purposes in this game, and it's part of how the developers have simplified the UI while maintaining all the control that you want to have in a game like this. So they've done a really good job at that. But this button is a single push to go into kneeling or crouching position, and a double tap to get down into your prone position. Up above that is the lookout bar. All right, that's right here. In the game, you would slide your thumb around on the screen like this. All right, and what that does is it pans the camera that sits over your shoulder. It's important to remember this because all your spotting is done through your point of view where your soldier's facing. So you might not want to change what you're spotting, but you might want to pan back and see what your teammates might be doing behind you. So then up here we've got the mini map. The mini map is expandable, which is really nice because it helps you determine exactly where on the map that enemy is that you might see out in front of you. If he's behind some cover, you might not know exactly what berm he might be hiding behind. So if you pull that up in full screen, it's going to help you determine where he is as long as he's spotted. Movement joystick, which is right here, okay? And this is another dual purpose button. By sliding just barely out of the dashed area there, the dashed circle that surrounds it, you're actually not going to go out of it. You're going to kind of just hover over it. That will put you into tactical movement speed. The tactical movement speed is important because that is the only way that you can keep the fire button up on the screen so that you can fire as you're moving. It's a very slow movement, but it allows you to make slight adjustments while still maintaining cover fire or suppression fire on the enemy. Above that is the ADS button, aim down sights. All right, for a rifleman or for the scout, that's going to be iron sights, and for the snipers, that's going to be a scoped view. You would tap that, go into scope, tap again to come back out and go into third person. And then above that is the fire button. All right, and the fire button is another multi-purpose button. What they've done here is a single tap is a single shot. You can multi-tap for firing off rounds in quick succession with the rifleman or the scout. But you can also tighten in your aim and reduce the reticle size so that you can get some more accuracy. And you do that by pressing and holding this button down. And then depending on what stance you're in, your reticle bloom is going to be reduced to a point where you're going to get more accuracy out of your shot. Less accurate standing, all the way down to most accurate in the prone position. When you're holding that button down and the reticle is shrunk as far as it can go, you release the button to fire. When you press the button down at the beginning of the sequence, you're going to hear your soldier take a breath in. He can breathe about 5 times before he's going to expel and basically lose his breath, which will place him into the same state of stress that suppression fire will place him into. So the gun will start to wobble around a lot and he'll get blurry vision. So don't let that happen. All right. If you lose your target or you lose your opportunity to take a shot, just slide it off. Don't lift it. A sliding off motion will basically reset. You won't pull the trigger and you won't have wasted a bullet, and you also won't give away your position. All right, and then the last thing that I want to show you is the sensitivity bar up here. All right, this is set up so that you can increase the speed at which the looking area responds to your thumb. All right, so a low sensitivity over here is going to give you slower changes in direction that you're facing and aiming your gun, but it's going to give you more control, more accuracy over that. It's also going to help you fight the effects of suppression. If you want to increase that, you get up to the higher end up here, you end up with very twitchy aiming. All right, so that can be useful for if you're crossing open fields. You can throw off the aim of somebody that might be trying to ADS in on you by quick movements back and forth. The side effect of that is you're going to have more difficulty maintaining the direction that you want to head in, and you're going to be more affected by the stress induced by suppression fire. We've covered all those buttons. In the Pro controls, they don't all show up on the screen, but all the functionality is still here. The Pro controls are really worth a serious look, but I would suggest probably not until you've played the game for a while, because this does take a little getting used to. So effectively what they've done is they've reduced it all down to the fire button right here. You still have your mini map, and you still have your radio bar, your radio button down here, and you have your scroll bar that are always going to be visible. But the stance button is now gone, the scope button is now gone, and the movement button is now gone. So looking area doesn't change. This entire half is still where you're going to look around. The stance area now is this entire area. You're still going to tap and double tap, but you can do it anywhere on the screen. Over on this side, same thing. The fire button is going to be lit up when you're able to fire. The movement button now is anywhere in this area. Wherever you put down your thumb is where the joystick is going to appear. And the same thing for the scope area ADS button. When you're moving, if you see a target and you need to get into scoped view, you're going to quickly tap wherever you are, and the scope is going to come up. And then another tap will get you back out. And then the last thing that we would look at is the custom mode. The custom mode is for somebody that might want to move the buttons around but keep them up on the screen. You can also bring up a second fire button in this mode, but it can also be used to set up a hybrid version of the Pro controls, and that's what I've done. By doing that, I turn off the scope, the stance, the show joystick, and the static joystick buttons. I remove those, all right, and what we've got now is the same setup that you'd have in the Pro controls, except my fire button is where I want it. Scroll bar up top here, and I've moved my mini map down to this area. If you do like the Pro controls, get into this screen and you can take it a step further. A little word on the mini map down on the bottom here. You might want to experiment with this too, because if you're down on low ground and you leave your mini map up top here, like most players are going to do, you're going to find situations where you might have a player that's up on a hill if you're on the low ground, and you might not be able to completely see him because he might be on a hill that sits up here on the screen. So it's a good idea to move the mini map down there. There's nothing really important that happens on the bottom of the screen, and it's a good place to get it out of the way but still have quick access to the info that is presented to you there. So that's it for this, and let's wrap up the video next. All right, so this video has dragged on a little longer than I anticipated. Go figure. This game is going to be, on a mobile platform, is going to be a groundbreaking game. When the game's fully developed, there's going to be a full-blown competitive scene going on around this game. I'm going to put up rifleman and sniper class videos coming up sometime shortly. There's going to be a video which is going to be sort of a follow-up where we're just going to tie everything that we just talked about into a video where you're going to be able to see me play a game with the iPad down on the bottom, see my fingers interact, and you'll see the game happen on the main screen. Thank you once again from Straight Up Jack, Bravo Company, to everybody else that's into the game. See you guys all out there on the battlefield, and I got a bullet with your name etched in it.